Okay, guys, what's going on? So we're talking about Danny Swift Garcia. We're talking about how good he is in the welterweight division. Now, the reason that I've been prompted to do this video is because Keith Thurman did an interview with my boy Ben from Fight Hype. Shout out to Fight Hype. Shout out to Ben. And look, man, Thurman did an interview with Fight Hype, right? And he called out Danny Garcia, saying that Danny Garcia isn't a true welterweight and Danny Garcia is this and Danny Garcia is that. I see a lot of people bringing a lot of negativity towards Danny Garcia, but I'm going to tell you the truth. This is my honest opinion. I don't think Danny Garcia is easy to beat. I think Danny Garcia is a very good fighter at 147 pounds, and I think he beats the majority of these welterweights. That's my honest opinion. I think Danny Garcia is severely underrated, and my reasoning, I'll tell you why. Danny Garcia just came off a fight with Robert Guerrero, and the thing is that Danny Garcia, because he's moving up from light welterweight, he's got quite a lot of speed with him. At light welterweight, he was quite slow because he was in between light welter and welter. And the thing is that Danny Garcia can take a punch at welterweight. Okay, Danny Garcia, in my opinion, has got a very solid chin. He can take a punch at welterweight. I think if these big boys hit him, I think Danny Garcia will soak it up. I don't think he's going to get wobbled, knocked out, wobbling all over the place. I don't think that's going to happen with Danny Garcia. I don't see that happening with him. I think Garcia could take a punch. I think Garcia's got faster feet at 147. I think at 147 pounds in his last fight against Robert Guerrero. And Danny Garcia's been quite quiet recently. I'm not sure who he's fighting next, but in his fight against Robert Guerrero, I saw some brilliant footwork. I saw some brilliant counter punching. I saw Danny Garcia hitting on the move. And I saw Danny Swift looking fast in there. He looks faster to me than a lot of these welterweights do. I think this whole thing about true welterweight, what Keith Thurman keeps talking about, and how Keith Thurman, and look, man, I like Keith, right? And I've got a lot of respect for Keith, but I don't agree with this whole true welterweight business, because Sugar Ray Robinson, Floyd Mayweather Jr. are, amongst the best welterweights of all time. And are they what you consider true welterweights? Did they start at welterweight? They didn't. They moved their way up to welterweight and then moved beyond welterweight. Mayweather Jr. Stopped at 154. But look, even Manny Pacquiao, he's campaigned at welterweight. He's not been the best welterweight performer. And even Mayweather Jr. didn't perform optimally at welterweight. But a lot of these old fighters, Ray Robinson, a lot of them, they performed really well at welterweight. And that's the thing. You can go in history and look at Tommy Hearns. You can look at Sugar Ray Leonard. All these guys, right? They went up and down weight divisions and performed optimally at higher weight classes than they started, and the greatest performances that they had were in higher weight classes. So I'm not too sure about this whole true welterweight business. Nobody's born a true welterweight and stays at welterweight, and I disagree with Keith on that, respectfully. But another thing is, right, about Keith Thurman is I don't understand why he's up Kell Brook's ass so much. He's really he loves talking about Kell Brook, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he talks so highly of Kell Brook, and to the point where it's weird. Like, okay, respect is one thing, and I understand why Keith Thurman gives Kell Brook respect, because Kell Brook is a hell of a fighter. It's true, he is a very good fighter and he deserves significant props. But the thing is this, right? I don't get why he keeps going on about Kell Brook. It's like he's itching to say Kell Brook's name. And Kell Brook is a good fighter, but I don't understand why Thurman is up his ass so much. Is it this true welterweight theory that he's stuck on? Doesn't make sense to me, because look, Errol Spence is a true welterweight. Why not bang on about Errol Spence? Maybe, okay, fair enough, he hasn't proved himself as much as Kell Brook, but he's definitely shown that, he's up there on that level. He's just come off a vicious knockout win against Chris Algieri. Yes, Kell Brook has beaten Sean Porter, but aside from the Sean Porter win, the resumes are comparable. Errol Spence has beaten better opposition, in my opinion, than Kell Brook, if you take out the Algieri and Sean Porter wins off their resumes. So I don't understand why Keith is constantly bigging up Kell Brook. It doesn't make really much sense to me. But this whole true welterweight thing, I think it's a bit overhyped by Thurman. And for me, right, going back to Danny Garcia, I feel that Danny Garcia is going to be trouble in the welterweight division, personally. I think that people give him hate because they feel he's too small for welterweight, he's slow, he's flat-footed, he's average. I don't think so. I think Danny Garcia is a really good counter-puncher. I think he clips people coming in. I think he's got exceptional timing. I think he's got the best timing in 147 at 147 pounds. Might not be popular belief, but that's my opinion. I think he's got the best timing at 147, with the exception of someone like Mayweather Jr. But for me, look, if Danny Garcia gets a Floyd fight next, right, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think it's a matchup that should be made, and I don't think it's a winnable fight for Danny. I think he's too small to fight Mayweather Jr. at welterweight. Now, get what I'm saying. Maybe that's a bit it seems like that's contradictory what I'm saying, but hear me. See, to fight Mayweather Jr., you've got to be big enough to knock him out, or a good enough boxer to outbox him. Danny Garcia is not big enough to knock him out, and he's not fast enough and good enough as a boxer to outbox Floyd. So for me, Danny Garcia is just not good enough to beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. Maybe at 140 pounds that'd be a competitive fight, but not at 147. And the thing is this, right? If you put in Danny Garcia against the other welterweights, and Amir Khan's moving back down, we'll talk about Amir in a little while. But I mean, Danny Garcia's definitely got the crack to knock out Amir Khan. He's got the boxing capability to outbox and bust up and time Keith Thurman. I think he's got enough pop to knock out fighters in the welterweight division if he catches them clean. I think if he catches someone like Porter clean, he could knock Porter into next week, because Porter's been down to Brawner. You know, and bringing Adrian Broner into this, Adrian Broner's at 147 pounds. I think Danny Garcia could knock Adrian Broner into next week, and I think he could outpoint Broner. Danny Garcia's got a really stellar amateur pedigree. So for me, Danny Garcia's got the experience. He's a very good fighter, and he's someone who's being overlooked in the 147 division. People are concentrating on the hypes of the 147 division, but they're not concentrating on the proven fighter at 140 who's moved up to 147. Looks really good against Robert Guerrero, in my opinion. I thought he looked exceptional against Robert Guerrero. I don't think he looked good against Paulie Malignaggi. But I think Danny Garcia he adapts to the fight that's put in front of him. I think that he hits hard when he needs to hit hard. He boxes and moves when he needs to box and move. And that's very apparent in the Paulie Malignaggi and Robert Guerrero fights, given they're not the elite level opposition that we'd like to see Danny in against. But I think Danny Garcia has shown glimpses of greatness, and I think he's a brilliant fighter, and I think he's going to do very well at 147. I think he's getting too much hate. I think if he faces Amir Khan, he could knock him out. If he faces Keith Thurman, he could outpoint him and hurt him. I think if he faces Sean Porter, he could knock him out. I think if he faces Mayweather, he can't win that fight. If you know, and we hear that the PBC may be working with alongside. Well, Al Heyman might be working alongside Top Rank soon. If he faces some of the 147 pounders in Top Rank, I think he does well. I think this stick needs to stop with Danny Garcia. I think he's a good fighter. There's too much hate given towards him, and I really think he's good. I think he's good, and I think he's got a point to prove, and I think he will prove it in 147, and he will beat some of the good names. His next fight will probably be against Amir Khan, and we're going to talk about that in a separate video, because I'm going to do a rematch video of Amir Khan and Danny Garcia, because I think that's the fight that should be made next. I don't think Amir Khan's got time for warm-up fights. It could do him more harm than good. If he gets in a warm-up fight, doesn't perform, I think, you know, there's no point of him fighting on, because his confidence is too knocked anyway. I think he should jump in if he's good enough and he can take it, and he can handle it, and he can still perform at the highest level. Throw Amir Khan into the high level and try and win a 147 title. I think this is the time for Amir Khan to really just go for it. So for me, I think Amir Khan should fight Danny Garcia next. I think that's the fight that should be made. Danny Garcia versus Amir Khan, the rematch. Amir Khan's coming off a high-profile fight against Canelo Alvarez, and Danny Garcia is obviously he's undefeated, and the whole storyline behind it just makes for a good fight. And I think Amir Khan would be suited to face Danny Garcia out of the welterweights that are available, and that's his best option. Leave your comments in the section below. Subscribe as always. Danny Swift Garcia. I think he should face Amir Khan next. I think that's a good fight to make for Danny, and it's a good fight to make for Amir. Winnable for both. Whoever turns up on the night will win the fight. Yeah, with Danny Garcia, man, I think he's going to demolish a lot of these 147 fighters. I think the guy he needs to watch out for, two people, is Kell Brook and Errol Spence. I think they're dangerous fights for him, very dangerous. Apart from that, I think he can beat Porter, and I even think he can beat Thurman. I'm not saying he does, but he stands a better chance of beating them than he does someone like Errol Spence, you see. But comment section below, subscribe as always, Be Real TV. Tell me what you make about the Keith Thurman hypothesis of a true welterweight. In today's day and age, I don't think it matters. I think you've got, I don't know, just generally I don't think it matters that much. Comment section below, subscribe as always, Be Real TV, and I think guys.